There was a saying not heard today so often as formerly. What do they know of England who only England know? It is a saying which dates. It has a period aroma like Kipling's Recessional or the staterooms at Osborne. That phase is ended, so plainly ended, that even the generation born at its zenith, for whom the realisation is the hardest, no longer deceive themselves as to the fact that power and that glory have vanished, as surely, if not as tracelessly, as the imperial fleet from the waters of Spithead. And yet England is not as the Nineveh and Tyre, nor as Rome, nor as Spain. Herodotus relates how the Athenians, returning to their city after it had been sacked and burnt by Xerxes and the Persian army, were astonished to find alive and flourishing in the blackened ruins the sacred olive tree, the native symbol of their country. So we today, at the heart of a vanished empire, amid the fragments of demolished glory, seem to find, like one of her own oak trees, standing and growing, the sap still rising from her ancient roots to meet the spring, England herself. Perhaps after all, we know most of England, who only England know. Now, that was a extract which was said by the great English patron Enoch Powell, who was falsely branded as a racist for his Rivers of Blood speech. And I hear you ask, why, Mr. Knops and Pipes, have you just read me an extract from Sir Enoch Powell? Well, because today I'm going to talk to you about what I consider the quintessential English blend, which is Peterson's Nightcap. Now, I think, personally, to first be able to truly appreciate Nightcap, you have to have lived in England for a bit of time. And I say that because Nightcap encompasses just about everything that's English for me personally. I grew up in England. I've lived here all my life. I remember running through the fields and forests of England as a lad, playing with my friends, going to football, drinking in our pubs, enjoying company and laughter in the very same pubs, walking the streets, the damp smell that is England. Now, we have a very unique climate here, a climate in which you can quite literally get 4 seasons in one day, and you don't really get that anywhere else in the world other than Ireland, which is why Britain was fought for millennia, because it was so good for agriculture. So back during the times of the Vikings, they wanted England and Britain, and then it became part of the North Sea Empire under King Canute, if my history serves me correctly. So why does Nightcap embody that so well? Now, I could sit here and I could talk to you about, oh, it contains latakias and periques and whatever, but it won't be doing the blend justice, because it is so unique in its own right. Now, I'm sure a great many other people in the YTPC who grew up in England remember a time before Britain was sold down the river. And Nightcap brings me back to those memories, being able to have a country that we could be proud of, where we weren't oppressed by our own government and police and branded as racists for simply waving an England flag. The mind boggles. This is our reality now. We do not have the right to bear arms like our good friends in America who can defend their freedom. We cannot. But we can speak out We always have a voice. But I don't want to turn this into a political video. I want this to be about Nightcap. But the thing is, that all those times were before the country was sold down the river, where you could go out and you had a country to be proud of, and as you walked through her streets, drank in her pubs, played in the forests, and walked through the meadows to English song under the English oak. Nightcap encompasses that so perfectly. If you've ever walked out in England in the autumn, cold, crisp day with the damp air and the smell of the leaves as they rot on the ground and your boots crunching through them, Nightcap has that little hint of that which just goes hand in hand with it. You could smoke it so comfortably at that time of year, and it's almost like, if has anyone, I'm sure you have, but have you ever smelt something and when you were younger, and then you were walking, I don't know, in a supermarket or something, and then you smell that same smell again, and it transports you back in time to that very moment? Nightcap does that for me. It transports me back to a time where, my dad was home from sea, and, we'd be playing in the fields with our friends while him and my mum drank in the pub with a few beers on a Friday afternoon with their friends, and we'd all play over the park and have massive games of manhunt, play on our bikes, and sometimes you'd go out with your friends, you'd go out on your bikes and you'd get muddy, it'd be raining all day, but you were out in it all day. You would come home soaked through, muddy, cold to the bone, literally, and your mum would have like a nice hot meal on the table, hot water bottle in your bed, nice warm bed to get into. It was the little things we appreciated. We didn't have much, but we were happy. And that's what Nightcap is to me. It's that warm hug, that warm feeling of a hot dinner on the table after a cold day, a warm bed to get into when you've been out in the cold all day. It's difficult to pinpoint it perfectly, because there's so many things I can liken it to. And like I said, it's so easy for someone to turn around who's never lived in England and say, oh, well, I taste Latakia, blah, 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 Perique Orientals or whatever. But you're never going to have the same experience unless you've lived here. It's so unique in its own right. I'm from Portsmouth, the home of the Royal Navy, and many generations of my family have served in the armed forces, fought for England, and Nightcap, I can just picture an old sailor down the docks on some of the old ships like HMS Victory or Warrior with a pipe full of Nightcap going about their work, and it would just fit hand in hand. They have that same warm embrace from the tobacco, and it's that smell of the tobacco that transports me back in time to those happier days. And that's what Nightcap is to me, and that's my review on Nightcap. It's not about how it tastes or what's in it sort of thing. It's what it does for me. And I think that, for a tobacco blend, is so unique. Because if someone had said to me, I started pipe smoking just over a year ago, but if someone had said to me when I started pipe smoking that there'll be a tobacco blend that will transport you back in time and make you feel that all over again, I'd have laughed at them. But here it is. And it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. So I do appreciate a lot of people won't like Nightcap, won't understand what I'm talking about, because you don't live in England, or you haven't lived here, you haven't been here, and that's fine. But that's my 2 cents on Nightcap and why it's such an incredible blend for me. Now, I could go on about this until the cows come home, but you lovely people haven't got all day. And my phone will probably run out of battery before I got to the end. So I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. So that is my sort of out of the norm review of Peterson's Nightcap. Thank you very much for watching. God bless and stay smoky.